Om Namah Shivaya, friends. Today I am here to talk about the dance of Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu axis has always been very interesting point in my study of astrology. The more I study about it, the more I get intrigued. Because in my studies I have found that Rahu and Ketu, both the planets, they always behave in different levels in the horoscope of an individual. What do I mean by that is that Rahu we call is a very materialistic planet. Yeah, it is true, but that is the 3D Rahu. The 5D or the higher level, if the chart has that kind of the total horoscope points towards some upliftment of the individual in this lifetime, then Rahu can play a very big role in pursuit of higher knowledge and philosophy. Same goes with Ketu. Ketu is into that the things that we have done in the past life. Either the individual dwells again into those things because that is, as we call it, the comfort zone. We have already gone through these things, or in a higher level, Ketu knows that how to utilize that energy to go towards Rahu and do what is destined for this lifetime. So what it means is that leave the comfort zone and go into the things that are yet unknown. So this dance of Rahu and Ketu is where I feel my predictions always start from. Because see, obviously it's very important, Lagna, Sun, Moon, that is the three pillars of the horoscope. That is understood, but next I feel very important is the nodal dance, and from there the prediction can escalate to what the soul is coming with and to what it is going to, the higher the destined path rather for this lifetime. So this is what makes this axis very interesting. No video is enough to touch all the points, but still I will make as far as possible the video to be interesting and touch upon the things that I wanted to say in whatever I have studied in my little ways. So let's start with the video. Rahu in Aries and Ketu in Libra. Now this nodal point is actually the first and the seventh axis. Wherever it is placed, its behavioral thing is something like that. Let me explain a bit. Now see, Ketu first, let us look into Ketu because it is in Libra, and Libra is mostly all about relationships, the seventh house matters, partnership, associates. So these things had been constantly delved into by the individual in past lifetimes. So that can be an area of comfort for them. That can be one of the cases. It so happens that the person is quite comfortable in dealing with relationships, or rather he wants to. Without a relationship, these people can feel a little out of place. But the problem with Ketu is that Ketu and Venus, though it is always said these are neutral towards each other, what I've seen is that Venus is a watery, very sophisticated planet for relationship, and Ketu is what we can call it's a spiritual being. So what it has to do with the relationship, it dries the Venus up very much, and the Libra, wherever Libra is, the kind of planets in Libra will determine the kind of relationship, partnership you will have in this lifetime. So here obviously the things of Venus some way are not very much augured in this placement. This is a difficult placement for materialistic growth, for having the best of relationships, because if you want to go towards that also, Ketu says no, you cannot do it again this time, better go towards Rahu. Now the challenge over here is that is the comfort zone. Venus is the latent talent, because Ketu is there in Libra. That is the talent the person is carrying from lifetimes. That's why in this lifetime he has been given this axis so that he can use the latent talent of Venus to go towards Aries, where Rahu is, and utilize the power of Mars. Now, why it is like that? Because see, whenever we are too much into relationship and all these things, sometimes superficiality or neglecting ourselves can sweep in, whether we want it or not, because everybody cannot be satisfied, all the relationships cannot be satisfied in whichever lifetime you are. So what Ketu does is, it tells you too much is done with this part of Libra, pushes you towards Aries, which is where Rahu is. Now here Aries is the domain of the first house. As we all know, it is the growth of the personality. It is a growth of we as an individual. Aries is like an individual going out in its extreme force to the world to venture out. So here Rahu propels the individual so that he tries and cuts off mostly the relationship part remains, a boundary set, that much only is given to you for this lifetime as far as relationship is concerned. Your growth in this lifetime lies towards venturing towards Rahu, where the energy of Aries is, and you have to develop yourself, your personality, your outlook. You have to be a little bit alone. You have to be self-sufficient. You have to think about yourself. You have to take a stand for yourself. You have to jump into things. You cannot think so much, because Libra is always trying to balance the things. That much balancing in this lifetime is not granted. So here the challenge is how you put yourself first, so that you are the pivotal point. You are taking actions, you are taking decisions with a subtle element of maintaining that nodal dance. That is why this dance of Rahu and Ketu is so difficult, because Ketu also you cannot live totally. If you could have given up Ketu totally, that would have been best, but no, a balance needs to be maintained. The tilt is little bit maybe towards Rahu more, but Ketu, that's what your latent talent is. That is where Venusian talents, that is why many people with Ketu in Libra can have, good artistic qualities also. That can also happen, because that is Libra. These are all Venusian signs usually have artistic qualities. So maybe that is the thing, that is the past life they are carrying forward too. And with that talent, they can go towards individually developing themselves and presenting to the society for this lifetime. That is what the Rahu and Ketu does in Aries and Libra. Now, what is the pros and cons of it? You have to demarcate a thing, that whether you are going too much into superficiality, that is pleasing everybody, or you want to take a stand for yourself and you come out to the world as an individual. So or you should not become too selfish about it. That can happen at times. Aries, Rahu can give that kind of a subtle flavor to the horoscope. But this is where the axis is telling you to put a balance, strike a balance between these two energies. It's a very interesting thing. This is what I have found. When I'll continue my research into more, I'll come up with more videos. But as of now, this is what I wanted to say about this axis. Next axis which I come to is Taurus, Rahu in Taurus and Ketu in Scorpio. This is, I find, quite a challenging and a materialistic combination. As we all know that Ketu is the co-ruler of Scorpio, and Taurus Rahu can make one very, very big, because it is the second house. All the good things they want from the second house matters. Let me little bit talk about Ketu first, because Scorpio is a very intense sign of intensity in every way, and Ketu is the core energy of Scorpio. Now, what is Ketu? Ketu is some kind of a detachment, and Scorpio is the 8th house, because something has to die and get detached so that you can move towards the 9th house of Sagittarius. So here in Scorpio, Ketu, that is why is the co-ruler of Scorpio. Because you may be in the past life having such an arrangement. In this lifetime, if you have a Scorpio Ketu, you may have dealt with lot of the things that Scorpio deals with. This can be higher research, this can be occult, this can be any underground activity, even all the bad activities also that are not welcomed in the society, that is also from Scorpio we can see. And there could have been lot of destruction, changes in your life, lot of turmoil in your life. All those things maybe you have faced in your different past lifetimes. So you have a tone of that Ketu in that Scorpio, which is all regeneration after destruction. You have gone through lot of that energy. Now your energy is pushed forward towards Rahu, which is in Taurus. Now see, Taurus is about every good thing that we want in life. That is why it is the second house. It is one of the best houses. What you want to eat, the family that you get, if the family is nice, the words you say, the things, the childhood as it is, all these comes from the second house. And Taurus is a nice Venusian sign. So here Rahu can be very comfort oriented, the comfort of the house, the comfort of the family, the comfort of food. They can be very foodie. They would love to have the best place to rest, and they can love to have their energy will be very high when they will be with their family members. So this is what they want for this lifetime. And a subtle difference remains if Rahu is operating at a higher dimension, or what kind of. See, this I'll just give an example, is that Paramahansa, Ramakrishna Paramahansa had this Rahu in Taurus and Ketu in Scorpio. But see, it is always not a materialistic arrangement. That is why I am putting forth this example. He knew that materialistic, how much you can go deep into it, but spirituality is the end of it. There is no end for desire. Sometimes in the third 3D domain of Rahu, this can be a very materially driven individual. It can be. But one, if gets into that flavor of understanding that everything is not about getting what we want, the goodies are not the end of it, and we have to look beyond it, they can strike a very good balance. But having said all of these things, whether looking into the material perspective of Rahu or the destructive force of Ketu, because Ketu means death and decay of something in Scorpio, this nodal point, this nodal axis is quite challenging. Personally, I feel it is quite challenging because Ketu in Scorpio is not a easy thing to handle. Why? You see, even in this lifetime also, when you have this kind of a nodal axis in your horoscope, some kind of destruction will happen, whether in a small scale or in a large scale, that will put you to that. You have to go through some kind of an experience in this lifetime also, so that you go towards Rahu now, and you don't look back so much towards Ketu, because that is where your previous lifetime's landmark is. You have established yourself in that domain of Ketu of Scorpio. Scorpio can be a little bit drawn back, a little bit secretive. All these things can be part of your nature. Maybe you are not very confident, maybe you are very hidden ambitions are there within you. Rahu in Taurus tells you, Taurus is speech also, it tells you to be more vocal, more materialistic, more take the goodies of life, be happy with it, because you don't suck your energy out of the Rahu and do not go back to Ketu. This arrangement is quite a little bit tricky and difficult to deal with. I feel it. Personally, I have seen this better than the previous, from the previous one, like Rahu in Aries and Ketu in Libra. This is more challenging, which is what I have felt in my studies with the horoscopes. Then we come to Rahu in Gemini, Ketu in Sagittarius. This is a very good and uplifting way of having Rahu Ketu. Though the previous one is also the exaltation point of Rahu as given in some classical texts. If you ask me, I feel Rahu in Gemini works better with Mercurian sign, and Ketu works better in Jupiterian sign of Sagittarius. Now see here, the individual, whenever Ketu is in such a fiery high 9th house high power sign of Sagittarius, actually here Ketu is a very vibrant Ketu. It is not the actual decay process Ketu that we know, or rather the detachment kind of, because higher knowledge, if you get the knowledge that detachment is ultimately the end of what we are going towards, then what is the problem? If you have the knowledge, if you have the understanding, because that is what is indicated by this placement, from previous lifetimes you have come across with this knowledge that ultimately detachment is the end of everything. And you have to, this journey of the soul is by alone, and you cannot carry people, all are time bound and the soul is timeless. So here when you get the knowledge, this is a very enlightening placement also, I can say. And it's a very, the past lifetimes of the individual was in a Sagittarian mode of living. That means higher philosophy, higher learning, unless Jupiter is very badly placed in the horoscope, because that is where the latent talent lies of Ketu in Sagittarius. This placement is a brilliant placement of Ketu. Personally, I feel anybody having Ketu in Sagittarius will have a past very glorious lifetimes to bring forth those, very optimistic. 9th house, very sign of optimism. And what optimism? Jupiterian optimism with the knowledge. Not just the, just optimism means you feel I'm sky high. No, it's about the knowledge. The higher knowledge makes you feel so much relaxed, so much at peace within yourself. That is the Ketu in Sagittarius. When you have that arrangement, that means in the past lifetimes you have come with that pursuit for many lifetimes. Now, your thing is to take that latent talent of Jupiter and go towards the Rahu in Gemini, which is placement of with the Lord. You have to see Mercury also. Communication will be your main theme this lifetime, because see, you have to communicate your knowledge of Jupiter that you already have experienced, and your soul have experienced it. That means you have it. Now you have to take that higher ideas and give it through your speech. Now these placements of Rahu in Gemini is very interesting. I have seen mostly quite intellectual people, preachers, teachers, astrologers, good counselors, some kind of very intellectually handling the Rahu, and Rahu does very good in Mercurian sign of Virgo and Gemini. I prefer a Rahu more in Gemini and Virgo than in Taurus and Libra, though Rahu is friend with both Mercury and Venus. So here the intellectual pursuits of Mercury are very much preferred by Rahu. Now if we have a Rahu Mercury combination in Gemini, and that this happens in your 8th house afflicted by Mars or something, or in Ardha Nakshatra or something like that kind of arrangement, then that can be a trickster, and that person can really be a con man. That is also there, risk is there. Because see, when such kind of arrangements are there in your horoscope, you fall to your own capabilities, because you are so smart, you can handle so many things, you have so much knowledge, you want to fool people. That is also there, 100%. So that's why I told in the beginning of my video only that Rahu Ketu axis, whether you are a uplifted soul to get into that domain of Rahu Ketu, or you are not actually, you are just delving into the 3D of things and you have blocked yourself up to that, then you will fall into the pitfalls of Rahu and Ketu. That will surely happen. That is how Rahu Ketu works. That is why this axis is always the basis of prediction. At least for me, I have always taken up this axis after Lagna Moon. I have always taken up the predictions from this axis. So this is my seeing of Rahu in Gemini. But it's a very, very, your knowledge that you have internally, you have to give it to the world, because Gemini is speech, communication. That is your forte. There is where you have to go towards. Sometimes these people in the beginning of their age, they are a little skeptical to speak, they are not very confident, but as they grow with age, their knowledge also, they get the knowledge that they have already accumulated, and it comes out through naturally. But it takes a little bit of time. Maybe the second half is even more glorified with this kind of an arrangement. Now comes Ketu in Capricorn and Rahu in Cancer. Now Capricorn is very status oriented sign. It is the original 10th house. Ketu here denotes that many past lifetimes have been gone with the dealing with this status oriented thing, hardworking, practical, and they keep on doing the same thing with lot of determination, lot of hard work. These are the traits of Capricorn, no doubt. And Ketu, if your Ketu is in Capricorn, you will have this inbuilt in your nature. Obviously, the latent talent comes from Saturn. Saturn should be well placed. If Saturn is in not dignity in your horoscope, maybe you lack some of the qualities. But still, this consciousness for having a status in society, practicality, money, going higher towards life, rising up the ladder, all these things are parts of Ketu in Capricorn. And usually they are hardworking people, usually. Obviously, maybe it has happened that because now you have Ketu in Capricorn, sometimes you don't feel like doing the thing. That's why Ketu is there. Now you have to go towards Rahu, which is situated in Cancer, and you have to deal with the emotional waters of Cancer. Here, Rahu is to make you deal with all the emotional things, because it is a 4th house. The homely factors, the children factors, the home front, the emotional heart, things, all these things. Now see, it is a 4th and 10th axis. Now 4th and 10th axis, the balance is always created how you handling your domestic issues and your 10th house issues. Now here what I have seen, because naturally, obviously, Ketu should be, I feel, the 10th house significator. Why I feel like that is that Capricorn Ketu means working for the higher good of community. It is not just a self-centric ego satisfaction growth. Understand what I'm trying to say, because Ketu is a headless planet. It does not know actually how to do the things in its benefit. So Ketu in Capricorn, if Ketu is in a 10th house also, more or less same factors come in. You have to do the things that is for the good of the community, people at large. That helps you develop your Ketu in Capricorn at the 10th house, or wherever Saturn is placed, with those qualities you can develop that Ketu in 10th Capricorn. Now when you come towards Rahu, because this lifetime you cannot again deal with Ketu, then you'll have a heartbreak. If you just think about yourself, if Ketu is in Capricorn, about your career, your materialistic growth, then that will not happen. Ketu will cut you off from that area. So better you strike a little bit of balance over there. Think of the higher community, work towards your goals with higher community, and then you come towards Rahu, because Rahu wants to make you deal with the 4th house matters. It's a turmoil over here, definitely. Rahu, in my opinion, does not work very good in watery signs. It is just an opinion. Don't take it again literally, because Rahu has a very crispy head. The head is full of ideas, and the watery signs are very emotionally turbulent. Cancer is dealing with emotions. See, don't take it personally, but Rahu Cancer, many people, I have seen, they show a very, they try to emotionally make things work for them, if I can put it in that way. So here comes whether you take, how you take the energy of Rahu in Cancer. You have to deal with this lifetime. If you have Rahu in Cancer, you have to deal with emotional turmoils and heart aches or whatever, in whichever placement it is. Now this will happen, because then only you will be learning how to deal with, because Rahu is the force that you're gushing towards in the Cancer sign, and Cancer sign is watery sign. Lot of emotions will keep even more turbulence, more turmoil. So here you have to know how to deal with your emotions, how to trim it down in the proper way, so that you can maintain a dignified Rahu over here. Too much expectations can happen emotionally from other people in this area. So these things, to keep yourself stable, you have to keep your Rahu stable over here, especially when it is in watery sign. When Rahu is in Cancer or Scorpio, Pisces, you have to keep a focus to keep your Rahu very, very stable, because here you may be very emotionally suddenly you can feel bouts of emotions for your homeland, your mother, your nourishment, your children, your family, your loved things, your loved people. And maybe it is not easy to achieve, because if you take it in a Kalpurush Kundli, this 4th house of Cancer, if you have a Rahu, maybe you have to cut short with these areas, and you may have to live a little far away from them. So these emotional handling things should come to you, and that is why Rahu is there in Cancer. You know the practicality, you know the ambition, you know the whatever Ketu, Capricorn is, this area is ventured by you. Now you have to deal with Rahu, which is all these emotional turbulences that can well happen in your life. You have to go through it to understand how to be emotionally intelligent. That is the ultimate idea of Rahu, or even Saturn in Cancer also. So this is why Rahu is in Cancer in your horoscope in this lifetime. Next, Rahu in Leo and Ketu in Aquarius. Again, a very challenged environment. This axis of Leo and Aquarius, very opposite signs. Very important signs, the 11th house and the 5th house, and very, very both are equally strong signs. It is the sign of the Sun and the Saturn's Mool Trikon. Now the Ketu in Aquarius usually may have dealt with lot of higher group activities, lot of big events, lot of philanthropy, lot of earnings, humanitarian work, or giving to the society. These can all have been the past life experiences of Ketu in Aquarius. So here the emphasis is towards Rahu in Leo, and Leo is a very responsible sign, because Sun is about all responsibility. Sun is the king. You have to take in responsibility. Wherever your Rahu is in Leo, in whichever house it is, you will feel a very big amount of responsibility. Here Rahu and Sun actually do not go. Rahu do not like the luminaries. We well know that. Now here the problem with this arrangement is that Ketu being in Aquarius, maybe the person can express, not express, but as they are running towards Rahu in this lifetime, they can be egocentric, because Rahu, wherever it is, inflates that sign and whatever the characteristics of the sign. So they can have a very high ego about themselves, about their progeny. They can want a big status, or big some kind of a throne like thing in this lifetime. They can feel that I am very empowered. These things can happen with Rahu in Leo. Now see, the placement of Sun definitely matters. Definitely it matters. Whenever I have seen Rahu in Leo or Rahu Sun is together, some kind of eccentricity is also there. I will not I'll not shy away from saying this. That's why these people, they want to climb the peak of things. They are very highly ambitious. Leo is a very ambitious sign. It's a very responsible sign. It's a power position sign. That is the sun. That is the king. And Rahu wants to sometimes get it by whichever way possible. And sometimes, not every time, but it can well happen that they can earn some bad name also from society. That can also happen. These people are sometimes large hearted also. They can give. If you ask with see, there sometimes their ego is so much. If you ask with in a good way, they'll give up a lot of things to show that they're generous. They are generous. Leo is a generous sign, but the placement of sun is very important, as I keep on telling. Otherwise, Rahu, the energy of Rahu in Leo can be magnanimous, and to deal with that energy, if you have a Rahu phase, if you have a good sun, if you are already getting name, fame in society, in whatever standards it is, to handle that without a pitfall, to get to that top and remain in that top without sliding down, is quite a difficult task for this arrangement of Rahu Ketu axis. Now what you have to do is that if you have this arrangement, use your latent talents of Saturn, because that is your inbuilt talent. Sun is where you're going towards. You have to learn those qualities of the sun. But Saturn is what you can hold on to. So what you can hold on to? Humility, higher groups, giving, putting yourself, thinking that yes, I am within the masses, yes, I am coming up, but I am there. Maintaining the sanity is very important in this kind of an arrangement of Rahu Ketu. So that's why I'm saying it's a difficult placement, no doubt, because Rahu inflates the ego, it inflates the power, hunger that is already present in Leo. It wants to be shown everywhere. So if you have this arrangement, handle it with care. That is very important, because otherwise Rahu, because it's not a friend of sun, wherever your sun is or whatever thing you are doing, when you're going towards Rahu, there can be a bad name that can be earned also, or some disgrace can happen with such kind of a nodal axis. Next comes Rahu in Virgo and Ketu in Pisces. In my opinion, a very good arrangement again, because again Ketu is in Jupiterian sign like Sagittarius, and Rahu is in Virgo in the Mercury sign. This is it is the 6th and the 12th axis. So see, 6th, that 12th is actually the Moksha Karaka is Ketu, and when it is in Piscean sign, Ketu is headless planet. It has gone into this domain of Pisces again and again. If you have this arrangement in your horoscope, you are having the idea of the higher realms, of the Akash Tattva, of the vastness of the universe, of spirituality, of higher life, of how to ground yourself. You may be a little more optimistic than the other people, because your life had been like that. Ketu in Jupiterian sign, I have seen these people are really optimistic from their already learned knowledge from many lifetimes. Whether they know it or not, that's a different question, but I have seen it so many times in so many horoscopes that they actually know the actual what is happening, that all that we are leading and where it is going to, what is the ultimate path. They actually know it because they have served in that realm for many lifetimes. If Ketu is in Pisces and Ketu is in Sagittarius, I have told before only. So they have already learned that. Now they are very optimistic. They know if I lead, that's why these people are very dreamy, optimistic, big thinking. They cannot think small. They always, you will see, when Ketu is in Sagittarius or Pisces, they think big. They think very big. And the people think that maybe they're stupid in their head. That kind of an arrangement, people can think, but actually not. They have ventured in those areas, so they are very optimistic. They know. Now here, when Ketu is there, you have already done that. You have to take these learnings of Jupiter, wherever Jupiter is in your horoscope, you have to, that is your latent talents, the talents you have. So you have to take that Jupiter and go towards Rahu, the talents of those Jupiter that you have already within your soul. You have to go towards Rahu which is sitting in Virgo. Now Virgo is a very detail oriented sign, and yeah, it is a 6th house sign, Rogrin Shatru, dealing with them. They have very high intellectual capabilities. I have seen it. Rahu in Virgo is very intelligent. They're very street smart. 6th house, and Rahu just knows how to deal. And if Mercury is well placed, then well placed. Now again, well placed. I'm not telling it can be a trick star also. That is the problem with this placement only. Rahu in Mercurian sign only and only has this problem, that Mercury should be well placed. Suppose Mercury, I am taking that Mercury is in a very good sign of maybe Aquarius, maybe Sagittarius, then it is really good, actually, really good. These Mercury signs are really good. And if Mercury is in Scorpio or some other 12th, 8th house, some Mercury Mars arrangement, they can fight for everything. They want to go into every detail and not leave anything for any other people. I want to amass everything. So there is the problem with Rahu. The total dimensions of Rahu is very much important. Which dimension you are in, that is how you behave with your Rahu. That is very important to understand. Rahu's realms are very different. One realm is the realm where you want very materialistic idea, you want everything. Another realm of Rahu is you think magnanimous. It is not just about yourself, it is about the society at large, the human beings at large, making a difference in this world. That is also Rahu. The out of the box thinking, that is Virgo and Gemini Rahu. It is very much present in that sign, and Rahu being there can utilize that energy. But whether you utilize it for your own basic needs only, or you serve at a higher level, that is what your whole horoscope arrangement will tell. Simple. But this is how it is. It is a good arrangement, no doubt about it. Yes, obviously 6th and 12th house, maintaining a balance of 6th and the 12th is not easy. 6th is very practical. 12th is anything which is unseen. Anything which you can fathom with your psychic senses, it is the 12th house. Whether it is God, whether moksha, what you call it. Give it a name which you cannot see, which you cannot perceive with your 5 senses, is the 12th house of Pisces. And Ketu is very well aware of that, because it is headless. It can only understand through its inner knowledge. So this balance is important to maintain. I'll put it in that way. Not that you have to maintain or you cannot maintain. It's difficult to maintain. No, you have to. This is how a life should be. A perfect life, if you call on this planet, is maintaining this kind of axis of 6th and 12th. Doing the things practically, what you are destined, your karma, because Rahu is in Virgo, that is a very practical sign. But always keeping in mind the higher dharma, the higher philosophy, the higher the spiritual fruits that we are carrying for many lifetimes. So this is my analysis, but it's a very good arrangement from my point of view.